Good afternoon, my friends. I am here with the Dogfish. We are spectating and commenting on green-white Celestial Kirin combo plus Value Town against Jund Living End with my good friend, the Dogfish. Dogfish, take it away, my friend. What's going on here? What are your thoughts?
What's going on, Grim fans? We are getting here into this top eight. I was a participant in this tournament. I was knocked out halfway through here. So this deck here, this Kirin build, Value Town build, was on kind of the other side of the bracket, and he's been crushing people with this combo. And I was surprised to see it go this far, so I'm very excited to see it out here doing it in front of my eyes here.
Yes, it's a very exciting build. It's certainly one of the more unique ones.
He's mowing deep here.
Yeah, that's not great.
And Kami is a known combo player.
Here. Yes. Very good combo player. And Living End seems like a very good deck to bring to bear here. So I believe we are facing an uphill battle, at least maybe in game one, from the perspective of Lame Boy, but we will see how it goes.
Maybe we can get a matchup with a big sweeper here on the combo on our end here. In the Value Town build that could match up some CMCs on some of the big creatures in the deck, but that might be a dream.
Yeah, the thing about Living End's payoffs is, they dodge a lot of the common removal that we won't see so often in this format, like Fatal Push, but I guess they also kind of make the Celestial Kirin combo a little harder to sweep up the board with, and we're now seeing the cycling of Deadshot Minotaur, which you might recall, Dogfish, as I used to play Living End, is one of my favorites. I loved weird games where you could hard cast a Minotaur and kill a flyer with the ETB. So cool.
Oh, man, the 5-10 year ago magic dreams of Living End's heyday.
Yep.
I think Kami is definitely the deck to stop here. Combo seems pretty strong in this format if you are not also very quick. And we are seeing in this top eight, the, I guess, measuring stick of the tournament has been prowess or pyromancer type builds.
Yeah, the is it aggressive tempo builds for sure have been the standout. And to your point, they do stop combo really well with some cheap blue permission and also the ability to go under it. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, obviously this Living End build isn't quite as consistent as a modern sort of build. You have a little more time to get underneath. So I think that he will maybe leaning a little bit in his favor. Prowess matches maybe not so much if he can get past this big Celestial Kirin draw we just hit.
Yes.
Man, look at all these classic Ranger Captain, Knight of the Reliquary, Birds of Paradise. He's doing the cool things.
It is nice to see. You got to admire the basic land game on both sides of the table here as well. Always something I'm eager to note.
But, hey, that seems to be your patrons seem to love their basics. I think they get it from the master here.
True, this is a top-down on the channel, and we see the combo right away. Love to see it. Definitely pretty cool.
Whoa, he's violent outbursting on top of it.
Yep, absolutely. Instant speed violent outburst showing its worth here in a major way. And there you have it. Where else would you see that stack followed by this board trade except here in the 5-ticks tournament? And that will be the concession.
But look at the power here in this 5-ticket format. We just wiped everything, and we're about to get killed on the next turn with a swing for like 30 damage.
Exactly. Exactly. I can't add anything more to that. Wow. Well, there you go.
That was awesome.
Oh my goodness. You gotta feel for Mr. Lame Boy, but at the same time, I'm sure even he is just like, yeah, that was impressive.
that was a good show as far as my end, like me saying, I'm not sure I see where this deck is just destroying people, but he just blew up the entire board.
Yep, he sure did.
Pretty early in a game of Magic here. So, like, I see it right there. First chance we watch the deck go off, it does the thing.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah, and he'd resolved a Vivian's Arcbow, which is definitely a card that I called into a bit of a question as a 4 of, simply because I hadn't really seen it in action before. It's legendary. Doesn't pair directly well with Court of Calling. There's a few reasons it was a question mark to me, but a lot of the question marks of the deck were answered there. Nevertheless, Living End, the 1-card combo, able to be executed at speed, little tough to stop sometimes.
Yeah, maybe we could have hit a few more lands there on this end to ramp more cleanly, have a few more options. But I do think we are punching uphill a little bit in this match, and obviously, Living End combo just went right over the top of our Armageddon. So,
yep.
Man, this tournament was really fun for the brewing process. A white heavy hand with all green. Yeah, looks like a mall here. The brewing process was awesome in this tournament. I played a 5-ticket shop-esque type of Tron, and Kami over here had 15, 20 different brew combo options he was thinking about playing. And Lame Boy really made this. This was one of the other very unique builds that I didn't really even know was a combo that existed out there in Magic, and he's taken it to a competitive level of a tournament here.
Yeah, it is really impressive. I used to know about it. It's one of those things that has been kind of crowded out of my mind. I remember when it came out, and then I'd forgotten about it, and then when it came back, I was like, oh, that exists. Pretty cool. Forgot all about it.
So much to know these days. Just trying to stay alive in the modern format is that's a task enough in and of itself.
So with what I was looking at here as we watch the stream, which is different from what you, the audience on YouTube, is watching. I love this, by the way, being able to double dork on turn 2 off of Wall of Roots. I wasn't able to see exactly how Lame Boy sided. I wonder, is worship something that he wants here? It seems like it to me, right?
So it's interesting because if they Living End, your board is wiped.
Yes, but sorry, go on. I'll let you finish.
So you would have to deploy a creature at some point after a Living End went off in the attack, essentially.
Or just pressure them or disrupt them in such a way that they can't one-shot you with after resolving the Living End. But that's why I asked. It's definitely a little questionable, and if they have the one shot like they did last time, especially if you Armageddon yourself before that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think maybe we are in the play, so it would have been the way to try it. Maybe that's just from being inexperienced, and these people are playing this deck for just this tournament, so it could just be inexperience with sideboarding, plus it may be a risky line for a card that may actually do nothing for you.
Yeah, I respect that, definitely.
But I think as far as us kind of being the deck that's behind a little bit in this matchup, you might be worth throwing in silver bullets that maybe steal you a win.
Yes, I think that's definitely a consideration, because we don't have the hardest of hate for a deck like Living End and Lame Boy's sideboard. Some stuff is interesting, like Condemn. Gaia's Blessing does a little bit of graveyard hating, but we're not exactly playing a play set of Rest in Peace, right? So,
and that is sorcery speed as well. Blessing.
It is. So yeah, Violent Outburst is a significant upgrade over any other way to combo off due to that instant speed.
And I believe Kami plays Bloodbraid Elf is the other way to go off in this tournament. So maybe as soon as next turn we have Outburst mana, or even potentially Bloodbraid coming down here very shortly.
Yep. And you also see I can't quite make out the name, something Cyclone, Mirabito and I talked about that a bit. It's kind of an alternative way to go off in the face of hard graveyard hate, or just, if you trust that third living end, you could need to do that too.
Yeah, stranger things happen. I've now seen that happen. Watching some of Kami's games in the past, just having 3 living ends in hand.
I've been there.
Seems to happen. And obviously, in this sort of tournament, you have a little more time if you fail and dud like that, 3 living ends in hand, that these other outs might actually matter here.
That's true.
Or it's pretty smart, at least building them in a tournament like this where you're not dead generally quickly.
Yeah, you don't want that disaster scenario baked into your cake. If it's modern and you have to go fast to have a chance, then sure, you take those lumps when they occasionally come up. But here, yeah, you got to be able to.
What do we get here? Oh, Remorseful Cleric is obviously a great card target.
Yep, that's definitely live here.
I feel like you almost have to take that. Maybe Canonist you could get. Oh, he's thinking about it.
Yeah, it's really intriguing here.
Okay, so to ensure he can't really go off on him now.
Yeah, I guess the risk of this is, Canonist dies to removal, whereas Cleric, you could at least get some value out of exiling what's in the graveyard in response to removal. But this is the highest upside line I believe Lame Boy had, and you don't blame him for taking it, that's for sure. We do have the third living end in hand, by the way.
Oh, there it is. There's the card we were just talking about. He's escaping the disaster scenario right now.
Yep.
So that Canonist
no way to suspend the living end either in this build, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I don't believe that there is. So we either need land. There's a land here. We'll see if he sided into sweepers or anything else he could living end off the top. Sorry, Bloodbraid off the top into. I'm not sure.
Well, let's take a look. There's
obviously, against Value Town, that's a card that might have big hits.
Yeah. Crashing Footfalls is a card that he might have considered bringing in. I'm not certain whether he would have. I don't know how much sense it makes to commit to much of a value game here from Kami's perspective, but maybe something to be on the lookout for. But Lame Boy's got a nice wide board. He's got the hate piece down, and see how quickly you can close. The opposition here is still at 20, though. 20 all.
Yes. Oh, he doesn't realize his Canonist. He can't. Is that stopping him from casting here?
I suppose so. Did he?
We played the Visionary, so he's not realizing that Canonist is hitting him as well.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it seems to be the case for sure.
And he can get around this because Arcbow is an artifact. Cool.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Saves himself at least by not blowing his whole turn here, which is pretty clutch to at least make that play.
Yeah, and a nice little piece of synergy. I wonder if that was a part of intentional design. I suspect it was. The deck has that vibe, Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's synergy all over the place. It definitely would give you the reason to have 4 of those, playing them through a Canonist. Oh man, here it is.
Here it is, the hard cast.
All right. So what is the if a cycling ability? What happens here?
I'm trying to pull it up on my phone, but to get the exact wording. But essentially, we're looking at something that allows him to cycle into a same card type off the top. I'm not doing it justice. Again, I'm trying to get the exact wording. But essentially, he can cycle a creature and cheat another creature into play. Is my
fair enough.
How I remember this card. And when you are locked out, it is definitely a way to do it, whether it's by Graveyard Hate or by something like Canonist.
Yeah, he doesn't need anything. Oh, but he's getting near combo danger now. Gets 2 Ugin's Conjurance. Oh man, it's getting crazy. He would only need 1 real big beater to hold off this army here, but he's getting dangerously close to getting blown up here. So what are we able to do here? Hitting arc bow, right?
Yep, that's an arc bow activation.
Now, what do you discard here in this scenario? I guess Conjurance alone are probably bigger bodies than a Knight of the Reliquary would be. So yeah, discard the Knight.
Yeah, definitely not to be underestimated. The plan B of
man. Oh man. We got a match here. Look at this. This is pure Value Town tax into the big bombs coming now.
Yeah, it is impressive.
This is like the dream Value Town, even though it's not the typical players here. We are Vivian Arcbowing, digging for bombs. We're taxing. We're ramping. I mean, we're doing Value Town stuff.
It's true, but Kami's got a trick up his sleeve with an instant speed. Cycling of Street Wraith on the attack step while fully tapped out, getting a 6/4 Desert Siren off of it.
That is
That's
big
what the
brain
Cyclone does, and gets to eat the Canonist.
So
however, he still has that problem of all 3 living ends in hand. So do you just spin the wheel on Bloodbraid? We've got, what is that, Titan Authrex in hand?
Oh man, but that was huge. He at least has the option to go off here. I think that shows Kami's skill as a combo pilot to kind of just make that line come out of nowhere into the cascade here, getting underneath the Kirin combo.
The double cascade.
So yeah, he really is showing that he's eating all living ends in hand. That's got to be what we're seeing, right?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, totally. Again, things you don't see anywhere else, and getting really aggressive here. So
I guess for anybody who doesn't know living end, he would have just went off right there if he had the ability to.
Yes. And also it shows that he did not, in fact, side into Crashing Footfalls or similar, if I'm not mistaken. And Titan Authrex is in hand, can be cycled just like Street Wraith was last turn to make an instant speed creature of some kind, depending on what's closest to the top of his deck, I suppose.
So we are just playing a wall of roots here. We can play multiple spells a turn now. X's. So,
so Unpredictable Cyclone is basically just what I said it was. If a cycling ability of another Lawn-Land card would cause you to draw a card, you exile cards from the top until you exile a card that shares the same type, and then you can cast it for free.
Man, if we could hit anything off our Bloodbraid Elves, we would be... we just triggered, 4 times and have no cards to cast.
Yeah, nothing to show for it.
Ooh. That is the combo living end player's nightmares we just witnessed right here happen, and he just gets his board destroyed. I would imagine, unless, well, he only has 3 cards in hand, so he can't be sandbagging a land to start rebuilding.
Correct. Yep.
I mean, it looks like Kami will maybe have time to slowly get back in it, but at this rate, he'd be taking 3 in the air every turn.
Yep, that's the beauty of Celestial Kirin. You know, a 3 toughness creature for 4, we're trained to think of as, well, it doesn't pass the bolt test. That's really fragile. And there's a lot of truth to that. But when you Armageddon the board, it's an evasive, really reasonable clock. You know, it's definitely not going to give Kami too much.
On Lame Boy's end here, maybe Kami is just going to take him into a drag race here. He is pushing a whole lot of damage on this crackback. Even with no lands, he can turn this into a real street race.
Yeah, he decides to hold back with Bloodbraid Elf, but that 6/4 will need some stuff.
I guess you're not getting any damage through with Bloodbraid, so maybe you just stop some leakage on the other end, and just keep it to 3 damage in the air.
Exactly.
He's got a land, so one cycler can really now turn his game around here and get ahead in the race pretty far. But he can still just cast cards like this. Boom. So what do we hit? What do we hit? Spinning the wheel. Ooh, Ranger Captain for a few more Dugan's Conjurers. Ooh,
I guess that, yeah, that's...
I mean, they're still 4/4s, even if he just plays them without nuking the board, but I guess why not shock your opponent's land base again? And make that line I just mentioned about Kami really just needing one cycle. I guess Street Wraith is now maybe his best friend.
Yeah, Street Wraith. Although it does reduce the clock that Kirin's putting on, certainly remains one of the really only live draws.
Oh, he's got a land.
Yep.
It looks though Lame Boy might be able to actually close this one out, which would be pretty cool to see the slower combo. And maybe it's not even slower. Like I said, maybe this deck really is just powerful in 5-ticket format. He has been just stomping throats throughout this tournament here.
Yeah, there's so much to like about this deck.
And it's, this is like, was out of left field for me. So this is awesome.
Yeah, this is a delight to see it go off. And even though the Cord target hate piece was answered, it's just now he's got the plan B, and he bought enough time at least to assemble his own combo. Of course, we do have to say some really bad beats from Kami to draw all 3 living ends, but
yeah, and it's also very cool to see him make the stand while he has no land. He's had nothing to cascade into, and he is still alive on turn 9.
Yeah, the power of Cyclone.
Look at him, he's still attacking. This man has no fear here. And it's fair to point out in this 5-ticket format, Kami could have probably held on to his lands and waited to cycle in 1 turn, but our lands are not all that great in this 5-ticket format. They were both root-bound Crags. So he did not have that option available to him at all there. Just something to point out in this ticket and this 5-ticket format, the deck building and structuring, definitely the mana bases were some of the hardest things to just watch yourself be like, oh, wow, my turn 1 land's tapped. Oh, wow, my turn 2 land's tapped.
Yes.
In this format was like comical at times watching other games, and having it happen to you is like, oh, man.
Takes you back to the kitchen table. And that's a really good point about how he didn't have that sequencing available to him. No choice but to kind of walk out into the known Stone Rain as opposed to Armageddon, I guess. Or maybe Crack the Earth is a better comparison. Something like that. Some kind of symmetrical LD effect. But
some Aki Blizzard Herder talk.
Yes, there's the one. There's the one.
Check it out there, fans of Grim. Go look up your Aki Blizzard Herders, and you'll know that I used to get crushed. There it is for Lame Boy with the win by Grim Flare on Aki Blizzard Herder land destruction.
Yep, it's a kitchen table staple. What can I say? And yeah, we do get a game 3 here. So definitely interesting. I think Kami is now considering reaching for those crashing footfalls I mentioned in game 2 as a way to potentially play a little bit more of a value game. Again, you do question whether the value game is really what he wants, but leaving aside the Air Force of the Celestial Kirin, the 4/4s are looking likely to outsize most of the green-white value town. Again, this isn't modern, so the weenies stay a little bit smaller here, maybe on the opponent's side, but at the same time, he's back on the play. He's got a lot of incentive to maybe stay more linear. I don't know what he'll end up doing, but siding out maybe a couple monstrous carabids to make room for that. And
so I am over here watching on the other side a little bit. We are hovering over Monstrous Carabid as you speak, as the card to be moved around. Kami has actually made a few changes from game 2 to game 3 here. Crashing Footfalls are confirmed, moved in for game 3. So that was a pretty good snipe about what he might be doing post board.
Yeah, we'll see how it all pans out. We've got what looks to me like a quite solid opening hand, though, from Kami.
Yeah, definitely from Kami's side here. It looks to be all of the things you want, but maybe has the opportunity for something like a Canonist or something to get underneath it. But he's got Cycler.
Yes.
He's got the big top ender to enable. So we'll see. This is look like it's shaping up for a pretty epic game 3 here.
It is. And speaking of Canonist, we've got Lame Boy opening on one.
Oh, wow.
Mulligan to 6, and he's got the turn 1 Dork and the Natty Canonist in hand with a Court of Culling that could conceivably tutor up either the missing combo piece or perhaps some graveyard hate on a stick, if that's what the situation calls for.
So, wow, we are looking up into probably a great game 3 here. I'm pretty excited to see how this goes down. We kind of have both players having the pieces, but slightly slow pieces, but they both have the action.
Yes, and we do have removal in Kami's hand. We do have Dead in Gone, and he does not just main phase it. He doesn't bolt the bird, and I think that's probably wise given the hate bears he knows are in the deck. And Lame Boy indeed runs out the Canonist, which I think you're pretty priced into. I think you want to make them have it, and also you can start the beats that way. But
yeah, knowing you could get hit by an outburst as soon as next turn. You kind of have to slam it here because, yeah, look at this. 2 cycles. If he were to have it, he wouldn't really be able to beat this board presence.
Right, exactly.
Unless he landed super fast a wipe, which I don't think would kill those creatures anyway. So we'll see if Kami can get out from underneath this. His hand is showing like he's got the game. So we'll just see how they both play around this tight scenario here. I mean, we have Cord. I don't know if there's anything that can like protect our Canonist here in any sort of way.
Yeah, and that's kind of the one thing that could be weighing on Kami's mind here. Leaving that aside, though, he doesn't have any huge hurry to fire off that Dead because he doesn't have the combo quite ready to roll yet. He needs a 4th land for Bloodbraid Elf, or he needs to draw Violent Outburst or something else. But so there's just kind of waiting to see who blinks first seems to be the case at the moment.
I also think Lame Boy would like one more land here on his own end that he could make this Cord have a lot more value at instant speed for him than it currently really doesn't have much he can even do with it.
Yep.
As far as maybe being able to Cord out, say, Remorseful Cleric and have a little game on top of the stack for when Kami finally maybe answers his Canonist.
Yeah, he needs another green source, and lacking that, he just says, let's get the beats going. Let's play Ranger Captain. And I think given the circumstances, that is correct. But we do see Kami's first cycle hitting an untapped fourth land. And now it's his cue. As we predicted, fire off that Dead and Gone, untap, play that Bloodbraid Elf. And it could cascade into crashing footfalls here, actually. But it is Violent Outburst into Living End. So he does it.
So there aren't 3 in hand this game, and he has the big army now. We are, I think, 1 swing away from death here. So I don't see us pulling the sweeper out here. So this looks like I kind of played out how we thought it might, but Lameboy is actually putting on a great show as far as deck building to really have the options to even fight off Living End. I don't think that many decks in this format could even fight off Living End like this.
Yep, I agree. That round 2 win was really impressive. And here, Kami just had a really hard hand to stop, especially when Dead answers the hate pieces out of the opponent's deck. It's like, okay, it's a functional hand. It's got an early combo. It's got a piece of removal. You don't necessarily need much more when you're piloting Living End. And we are seeing it go down here, and we don't even have the dim hope of like a couple condemns into some chump blocks because he can only cast 1 condemn.
Yeah, that's also brutal. But I mean, this is the Living End you love to see, guys. You love to see it. Living End, really just doing Living End things here, and Kami just flexing super hard all over.
Assigning counters. Yep.
Oh man, the combo flex here in the very last turn of the game from Kami Tech here. Boom.
Got him. Yep. What a great game. Well done to both participants. And, Living End is a linear deck. It can lead to some linear games, but we saw some really interesting decisions on both sides. We saw all 3 games play out relatively differently. And Kami definitely establishing himself as one of the players to beat, as you mentioned, Dogfish, in the whole tournament. So great job, guys. Any parting thoughts, Dogfish? But if not, we're about to move on to the next one. But anything else you want to wrap up with?
Just parting thoughts. That Celestial Kirin build, that was fire. That's really it. I was at least shown the truth about that deck. that was awesome, and congrats to Kami on the win.
Yep, for sure.
Huge congratulations, Kami, aka Chris. Your win with Living End looked very impressive. How did you feel about that match?
First of all, thank you very much, Moonbeater. The game 1 was fantastic. It sort of showcased both the decks, and any win in a spectacular fashion, as you get in game 1, was always sort of like nice. It showcases what both the decks can do, and in game 2, perfectly showcased what my deck can't do, which is grind out properly when you draw all the Living Ends. It was, even though I had obviously the backup plan on board, not having any lands when Lucas won't allow me to is pretty counter to any game of Magic or plan that you possibly hope for.
That was really crazy when you drew all of the Living Ends, but amazing moment just in the tournament when you got to cycle the Street Wraith to blow out the attack with the Canonist. That was something else.
I was, obviously it's not shown in the video, but down the chat I was saying to Lucas, I'm not entirely certain if this works, but we're going to find out together. Luckily it did.
Wonderful. All right, you're headed to the semifinals. Congratulations. You're going up against Nastier, who's playing his Blue-Red Delver. How do you feel about that matchup?
Well, I feel there's something on the line because I'm looking for revenge. I mean, irrespective of the tournament standings and spot in the final, I've got to avenge myself and make up for a pretty spectacular loss in games 2 and 3 against Nastier, where again, I drew all the Living Ends in both those games.
Oh, gosh. That was in the Swiss rounds.
That was in Swiss. That was game 4, I believe.
Okay, wow, that's something. Well, best of luck to you, Chris, and I'm excited to see our semifinal match.
Thank you very much. See you on the other side, Maribita.